Everyone's talking about doing a social media detox, but no one's actually addressing the real issue and why we even got to the point where you would need a social media detox to begin with. At the core of the issue, we basically have a social media app that's got you hooked. Maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's, I don't know what else, Instagram, Facebook, if you're on there, and you just can't get off it. Maybe it's too entertaining. You're like, wow, this is like hitting all my dopamine receptors. It's like a slot machine, right? Just pull for a new video every second. But I want you to think about this in a different way. When you're scrolling social media, you're releasing dopamine, right? That's what everybody says. It's giving you dopamine because it feels good, it's enjoyable. You might have found something new you didn't know before. And then you think, okay, I get so much dopamine. Maybe I get dopamine at a, certain interval. Maybe I don't even know when the dopamine's coming. So you're kind of like hooked on it, right? Like you're basically addicted to the apps. And now you're like, okay, I need a social media detox. I need to like cleanse my brain of all these easy dopamine that's just abusing my brain and keeping me hooked. The issue when you start to think this way is that you don't get to the root of the issue because you're treating dopamine as something that's keeping you trapped, while in reality, dopamine is just another signal that your brain receives that it's enjoying something, just like you get signals that you're not enjoying something, that something hurts or that something's sad. So if it's not dopamine, is it the social media apps that are abusing your dopamine? In a sense, sure. And a dopamine detox or getting off social media, a social media detox can work in the moment because you've completely eliminated the apps that are keeping you distracted and unfocused, but you didn't solve the real issue. And that's going to be actually being able to handle distractions, right? You want to be in a place where you can sit in a room with the social media apps that you love to use and be like, you know what, I have something better to do. I'm not interested. Knowing full well that you could probably get on it and just stay scrolling forever. So if we want to get to the point where you can be in the room with the social media apps and not put yourself in a situation where now you have to delete everything, like you're probably going to download it at some point. You're going to end up feeling FOMO. You're going to feel disconnected. Other people are going to tell you, have you seen this new meme, this new thing? And you're going to download it, right? So it's not a foolproof strategy and we need something better. So let's think about a time when you're fully energized, you're thinking, I can do this one productive thing, or I'm wondering what's on YouTube right now. They probably just dropped a new podcast. They probably just dropped a new video. Like right now, I have a Mr. Beast video. I saw a clip off on TikTok this morning, and I was like, ooh, that looked like a pretty good video. Maybe I want to go watch it, but it's 11 p.m. now, and I still haven't watched it, and I'll probably watch it later, right? But I was able to see that I wanted that, and I was still able to put it to the side. And that's where you want to be. So let's get to the root of the issue. And that's going to be how you're handling these distracting thoughts and ideas when they arise in your brain. If you think about thoughts, they're kind of like things that just appear. Like, look, everything in the background, it just appears. I didn't put it there. They just spawn right in, right? And that's kind of the nature of thoughts. You don't really control them. They don't really control you, but they do just spawn up and they're in your head. And sometimes we're not trained to actually handle them. When we get these thoughts, we want to be able to say, okay, that sounds cool. Or we want to be able to be like, okay, I don't care, or not react at all. Personally, I'm always like, yeah, I'm sure that would be really fun. Yeah, video game sounds really fun right now. I'm sure that would be really entertaining. And then I just dismiss it. And this is just step one. Step two is what's going to really help you focus. I mean, this is the same system I'm using. If you look at my app here, I'm tracking my hours where I'm actually focused and how much time I'm on break. And I'm doing about 10 hours a day, 6 days out of the week. And that's very heavily focused hours, which previously maybe I could get 2 or 3. And if I really stressed myself, I could get 5 hours, but focusing felt like a pain. And that's probably where you have been, where you're like, oh my God, I can't focus and I need to get stuff done. And it feels painful to focus, right? So the second step after you get rid of these thoughts or you learn to ignore them or not react to them is to actually just continue on whatever you were already doing. So if you're studying, if you're working, just do the next thing in your existing task that you're trying to focus on. And that's actually going to do 2 things. First, you're advancing on what you're actually doing. And second, it's going to help you forget that distracting thought, because as soon as your brain starts focusing on something, it won't be able to hold multiple things at once. And then that random thought you had is just going to go away. That's really the 2 steps, but if you're not convinced, then let me help you walk through it a little bit more. So for these 2 steps, you're ignoring the thoughts that are distracting, You're not acting on it. You're not like, I want to play video games and I'm going to grab the controller. No, you just go, I want to play video games, or your brain spawns that thought. You go, and then just continue with what you're doing, right? That's what it should look like in practice. And if you do this, it will work, but you might be skeptical because you're thinking, if I'm doing something that's like good for me or that I enjoy, shouldn't I like release some dopamine at some point? Isn't that the thing that keeps me like engaged with something? And yeah, it could keep you engaged with something, but if we go back to what I said in the beginning, dopamine is just a signal, and it's not always, the law on what's good or bad for you. You could get dopamine doing something that's completely reckless, but maybe fun in the moment, right? So we can't use dopamine as a good indicator that we're doing something good or that we're doing something right. So we have to completely dispel the myth in our mind that to do something productive, to do something useful, that it has to release dopamine, that work has to be fun, that studying has to be fun. That's completely false, and it's going to keep you on that cycle where you're like, oh, this has so much dopamine, this has no dopamine, I'll never be able to focus. If you keep thinking that way, you're going to keep yourself trapped in a dopamine cycle, and it's never going to end. So the better thought process is to not expect dopamine to even be there. You should be able to do something, expect no reward, no dopamine. Don't even expect it to feel fun or anything, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to focus, it's usually because you have to get something done, and it's probably better for you in the long run. You're just not going to have any immediate rewards. It's going to feel really robotic at first, but that's all there is to it. You just have to know there doesn't have to be a reward to do something. There doesn't have to be any dopamine. It doesn't even have to feel good. It could probably be really stressful and really hard, and you're definitely going to feel that. But at that point, once you get yourself focused, the only thing you have to learn how to do after that is how to recover and actually sustain your focus, which let me know if you want to see another video on that. I know for myself, something I employ a lot of the times, super simple, is one break, like 15 minutes after 2 or 3 hours of focused work. And then around the 5-hour mark, I'll take like a 30-minute break, and then I'll come back. And the first 5 hours usually feels the most difficult for me. But after that, I could probably go for 5, 6, 7 hours. Honestly, I could keep going. The only thing that stops me at the end of my focus is just falling asleep. Sometimes I'll literally fall asleep, but I'll have something that I need to get done and I'm just dozing off midway. And there has to be a point where we have to end it, right? Because we do have to rest, so the next day can also be productive. But I want to show you that this simple system does work, and there might be a little bit more nuance to it, but that's the gist of it. If you just follow those 2 steps, it should help you stay a lot more focused. And then from there, it's just regulating your time, breaks, and keeping yourself at a good pace. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, make sure to subscribe, leave me a comment, and let me know, should we start a Discord for everyone that's trying to be more productive? And also, if you're more interested in the research that I used to actually go take myself from 2 hours, 3 hours of focus work a day to easily 10 plus hours, then I'll put all the research links below with all the studies that will also tell you dopamine detoxes don't work. They might work by eliminating the behavior during the time that you delete the apps and all, but it doesn't actually work because you didn't teach yourself how to deal with the distractions in the first place. But anyways, that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.